I haven't seen the movie, so I don't know what I Love You 3000. Like, did someone say I Love You 2000?
No, just stop. It'll make sense. We're talking about a different movie.
I know.
Whatever. Hey, everybody. Here for the first time on the channel is my friend Nemo.
Wait, how good is the mic? Can they hear me from here?
Probably. Our voices carry. Don't worry.
Excellent. Well, my voice is a little raspy today.
We're talking about Godzilla, King of the Monsters.
The first thing I did at the end of the movie was turn to Nick to tell him how exciting it was. Nick can vouch for this. I've never really show excitement.
Yeah, okay. For context, I've known you for how many years now?
Since middle school.
Like bordering on, if not 10 years?
Definitely
13
at least,
years?
Yeah, definitely at least 10 years.
And in that time, I've dragged you to a fair number of movies. We saw Last Jedi together. We saw, what were the other two things?
Lego Batman.
And Spider-Verse, right?
And Spider-Verse, right, yeah.
We've seen all those movies together, and I've never seen you as, like, legit hype as with Godzilla.
I wanted to get up out of my seat, and you could see me trying to contain myself. We had the big old thing of popcorn, and I was like, I want to rip it, I want to throw it like confetti.
Were you gonna leave popcorn all over the floor?
I was ready to go around, throw my arms down, general hype man stuff.
Okay, I guess just for context, because whoever's gonna be watching this context, what are either of our, like, Godzilla experience? Like, would you call yourself a Godzilla fan at all?
Through osmosis, just my father loved it, so he'd always talk to me about it, which is why it caught my attention. I didn't watch anything, I didn't get too excited to it. I got excited to be able to share an experience with my dad.
Okay.
Which was what I was looking forward to. This seemed like the one to do it because the only little bit of the trailer or information I got, I don't know if I even watched the trailer, was that there's going to be a whole bunch. There's going to be King Ghidorah, there's going to be Godzilla, there's going to be, I thought King Kong was going to be in it because I didn't pay that much attention.
He has cameos.
I missed the first, 5 minutes?
You missed like the first 20 seconds.
Oh. Okay, it starts with a cold open, I guess. I didn't even know there was
It starts with
until we talked after.
It starts with a flashback to the last Godzilla movie in this continuity, which was Godzilla 2014. The family of characters that we follow in this movie, played by Kyle Chandler and Vera Farmiga, Millie Bobby Brown, there in Boston. Nice little world building thing, I think, building directly off of the last Godzilla movie.
Yeah,
we
Mom,
find out,
Dad, and baby Maddie.
Yes, Emma, Martin, Maddie. And we don't find out immediately, but we learn sort of slowly over the course of the movie that they had a son, Andrew, and he lost his life during the whole 2014
in San Francisco, or was it all?
They were living in Boston.
Something happened in San Francisco.
The movie opens in Boston. I think we're meant to infer that Godzilla moved from San Francisco to Boston at some point. And his pathway of destruction led into Boston. You mentioned that the human stuff was mainly just kind of preamble to the monster fights.
I wasn't entirely dismissive of the human parts. I wasn't like, all right, you can get to that now. You can get to the fights now.
Yeah, I wasn't.
I never felt like that, and maybe just a tiny slice made me feel like that for a second, and then either some human thing or the fight started and it got me moving.
I mean, I'll admit that as opposed to some other American monster stuff that we tend to do, there's none of that we're just waiting for the monsters to even become a factor in the story.
Or being mad at Transformers for having, you don't go see it to see Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, Transformers is actually a great example, and even the 1998 Godzilla. I like that we immediately start with they're involved with monster stuff.
Oh yeah, because it immediately goes to, you think they're in Boston because she's wearing a Boston Red Sox thing, but then they zoom out and they're in the jungle of some China, but it has one of those monster.
They have a nice house set up there.
Yeah,
it has a pyramid type thing.
Yeah, they have one of those houses with glass walls type thing.
Yeah, And so they actually witnessed the birth of Mothra. Mothra, and that's pretty much the first thing that happens. In
It
the
is.
movies.
They
show up
you
in
know,
the
so
movies.
the email, bam, we're cutting to that thing. All right, now we're inside the big old temple. Oh, there's a carving of Mothra. All right, and oh, you should get some sleep. You think I'm gonna go to sleep to miss this? And then Mothra comes out.
And almost immediately, everyone gets shot. Speaking just generally, I like that we don't waste time. It doesn't feel like any part of this movie is wasting time. I'm invested
I think,
enough
yeah.
in their little family thing. This isn't like...
I feel like I'm trying too hard to say that they don't waste time, but I end up giving a synopsis because it's not even like they're cutting stuff short. It's a well-paced.
It's a well-paced
It's well
movie.
paced.
It's very... economic is the word I would use. It's using all of its time very smartly. It's not too fast, it's not too slow. But just I'll say
Like
this.
the part where you're like, where are the monsters? That when the Ions, us think, okay, but now where is he? I never say, but where is he? I think, where is he?
Like, I think what you're trying to get at is that, like, you're anticipating the monsters, but you're not necessarily bored.
It is like WWE, which I don't watch much, but you know, it's an entertaining thing. It's almost like the story set up beforehand. You know, you don't go just you do go to see dumb, cheesy action, but you also
there has to be stuff in between,
slightly,
together.
yeah.
And like the reviews are really
critical reviews are not.
The reviews are very
wonderful.
split. You have people saying there's not enough human drama. Some people saying there's too much. Other people saying there's a perfect
If
balance.
anyone says there's not enough,
because
that's
I
weird.
don't know, the
That's a
thing
weird
is,
thing to say.
like I am invested enough in their little family unit and the sort of loss of the other child as that sort of slowly gets stalled out. And I like that gives them all a direct relationship with Godzilla.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. The scientists and the monarch people that he works with over the course of the movie, they're entertaining. Ken Watanabe has some cool stuff. I don't think this is a really, like, all that emotionally engaging cast.
No, didn't need it.
Like, they're decently entertaining for the stretches of the movie that they have to carry.
I think there was one joke I liked.
What?
But no jokes were a groaner, but they did make me go.
I feel like it's not a very joke-heavy movie. Like the bits, like you have the one guy, Stanton, played by the actor whose name I blank.
The only characters' names who I remember are Maddie and some of the soldiers because they had name tags.
The gray-haired guy is who I'm referring to. Stanton, the one.
Glasses and gray hair?
Yeah, he has a couple of entertaining lines. The guy played by Thomas
I didn't like
Middleditch.
any of his lines, except for talking about he has his own theory, and I don't know. It could have been mentioned in the first movie of how Godzilla travels around the world so quickly underwater.
It's a hollow Earth, yeah.
It's not even like I know he calls it hollow Earth, but it's like a big old water tunnel vortex that moves you really quick, like a wormhole type thing.
Well, like the implication is that they think Godzilla's using the hollow Earth, so like he'll surface and then he'll go through, and then that'll take him faster to where he needs to be.
He doesn't do the breaststroke to swim.
No.
He does like it makes sense the way he moves.
But yeah, just like the point I'm getting at is that the human characters are decently engaging. I don't think anyone's gonna walk out of the movie going like, oh, I love this performance, or I love this human character.
Except I did in Charles Dance.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about him. You mentioned that he doesn't come off like Tywin. I do think you can see a bit of Tywin Lannister.
You know what? I think I need a third pre-Game of Thrones performance. I need to see a pre-Game of Thrones performance from Charles Dance to actually get how much was him and how much was informed by the character.
I think it's just like Tywin. His character here is kind of condescending. He's very pragmatic. He's like, this is the world we live in. You have to make hard choices.
He's an eco-terrorist in this. But they don't do a big old, the news is like, oh, these eco-terrorists have been doing this, and then they cut to like one eco-terrorism to another eco-terrorism.
Yeah,
you get what they're doing because you know what? They actually show up first and just kill so Mothra comes out, then Kill Team comes in.
Pretty much immediately, Charles Dance and his guys come in and just murder everyone. You also called him earlier the main antagonist, and I'm not actually sure that I agree with that.
Main antagonist.
Because even then,
who I root for. Because of the way the speeches that he gives is clear antagonist material, except I agreed with him.
yeah, it's like he's an antagonistic guy, but I feel like the main antagonist of this movie is Ghidorah.
Yes.
And Charles Dance's character just kind of disappears out of the movie into the third act. Like,
oh yeah, in the third act, yeah.
yeah, so like some ways into the third act,
There,
Emma takes
his plan was, we release these Titans because they need to be here, so let's just get it over with before people can plan on how to destroy them, because that's really what they're going for.
Their
but
argument,
unfortunately,
and the thing that Emma sort of discusses when she's talking to them in the monitor, she's like, the Titans are part of Earth's kind of natural ecosystem. We let them out, and like, look at Boston after Godzilla. It's sort of like their radiation is plant life.
Rapidly regrowth of a whole biosphere in the area.
Yeah, and so their plan is basically like monster-human coexistence.
Well, but so is Monarch's.
Yeah, and
but it's a different type of coexistence. Monarch, the guy Ken Watanabe, you said his name?
Yeah.
Straight up says, oh, we gotta coexist. Or the government is like, oh, so you want to make Godzilla our pet? And he's like, no, we would be his pet. He says it with more gravitas, but yeah, though that is the line, is no, we would be his pets. The word symbiotic is thrown a couple times in.
Yeah. There's a lot of similarity with what Monarch wants and what Charles Dance and Vera Farmiga want. And I feel like I could have used maybe some more dialogue going into those differences.
Whereas I feel like the point was that there weren't many differences.
But like in the scene,
you have
her
where
explaining it to
where
them.
Mom is explaining to the Monarch people because Mom has switched sides.
Yeah, and even Ken Watanabe is like looking at this plan, which is not an entirely unreasonable plan on its face, and it's not all that different from what he wants. He reacts kind of strongly, like, no, you're crazy. And so I'm like, I think the movie is trying to tell us that these two people want very different things, or on some level different things, and it's not making entirely clear what the differences are.
No.
And even then, within one camp, you have Charles Dance kind of reacting like...
No one on the Monarch side says, we're going too slow. They both feel like they're running out of time. Monarch, because they feel that military might is going to be the go-to decision before that they can finish doing what they're doing, which is watching and figuring out either ways to contain or coexist.
Yeah, is that it?
Without violence. That is
that the
goal.
big difference? That sort of like Monarch's not seeking any of them out and like letting them out on purpose?
They're seeking them out, they're not letting them out. And
yeah,
it's implied that they do study them beforehand.
Right, so that's kind of
anticipation for them waking up and find out the reasons why this one's waking up, that one's waking up. They have different reasons. Godzilla because nukes, and some other guy because mining, deep core mining.
So then that's sort of the big difference then, I guess, is that the Charles Dance camp is kind of like...
It's like
Charles Dance camp sounds like a place I want to go to. Also.
Fun learning experience. Eco-terrorist team is... We have to let them all out, and the only reason that he's fast-forwarding the timeline is because he has to deal with both Monarch and the government on his tail directly.
And
he would have waited for people to evacuate an area. He would have, except Monarch was directly on his tail. So it's like, we got to do this now, otherwise we just unleashed King Ghidorah, who is a bad, mean guy who's killing them extra. He doesn't say it so emotionally as I have eloquently put, but he's a little colder. But he does make the point, if we don't start making it quick, then we just unleashed one of them and defeated the whole point of doing it.
But like going back to their decision to unleash Ghidorah when they do in the first place, I do also think he would be in a little bit of a rush anyway, just because their sort of stance is human beings can't just be allowed to keep going. Like, we're a sickness to the planet. Yeah. And so he's like, within our lifetimes, she says, we have to let these things out. And so
I think the way it goes is that you can put it into three groups. That there's the system that's in place, which is destroying the Earth. There's Monarch system. They want to reform things while working within the structure of the system. And then Charles Dance's crew is the a radical element,
like throw out the system
revolution element. But they don't wax poetic. They don't Bane. We have to get rid of the system and see how people really are.
I don't necessarily need anyone to be monologuing, but I would have.
And they did.
I would have liked some more discussion just about like what's the deal with all of these. There's this device that the mom and the dad both sort of co-created called Orca, and they use that to kind of control the monsters, and that's
to almost touch it though, to make sounds that they can understand, so that they can better you can communicate overall ideas.
You can calm them down. You can like draw them to places.
You can put in like a mating call, no chill out with friends call, intimidation call,
fight you
collect
call.
Here, get over here, guys. This is the spot to be at. Let everyone show up, because these monsters also want to have sex, which is established. They do have sex. Godzilla can have.
We have multiple lines about that.
Yeah, we have the one joke line that made me laugh, where it's like
the generals have been censored.
We have to leave the government thing now.
I'm just going to leave you with a really.
I'm going to leave you with a
very
video,
interesting
and hopefully
video
it is the version
with the genitals.
With the genitals censored. If it's not, go talk to my assistant. Bye. And then they blur the entire thing suddenly. Like, it was unblurred for a moment, but then the entire TV screen got blurred.
I don't know.
I know that.
I didn't read into that at all. But
I didn't read into it. I just thought it was funny. They're animals. They have different things, and it's not like beast smash. Like some people would think that bears or sharks. It's Beast wants not to be threatened. Beast wants to be chill, but also I got to go out and go eat, and also I got to go out and have a family. This is my drive. And they're part of the ecosystem. They're not just beings that were shown up.
Even sort of the destruction that Ghidorah causes, I think you could argue, isn't arbitrary. It's not like he's just walking around destroying things to destroy stuff. He and Godzilla have this rivalry where it's like only one of them can be the alpha and control all the other monsters.
Right. They do go to that lame alpha thing, which has been disproven.
I don't know.
The wolves don't do that.
But I like it as a device in this movie.
As a device, yeah. No, it works good as a device.
And because as soon as Ghidorah wakes up, Godzilla is pretty much on the scene already, and they start fighting each other.
Yeah.
And
so all the monsters are like one species, despite the major variation. They're like, most of them are compatible, and they give similar signals to each other.
Yeah, they have a lot of similarities, but they do tend to treat each sort of unique monster as its own member of a different species. And so we keep the thing that I think a lot of people were not necessarily expecting that we would keep with Ghidorah, which is that he's from space.
Oh, that was the actual thing.
Yeah.
I assume so.
Ghidorah's whole thing is that he just comes down from
Ghidorah
space.
is a very destructive force, and he's very highly aggressive immediately, in general, to everything. And it's not implied that they had to blow him up out of a giant glacier in the Arctic. It's never implied, like it was with Mothra, that he feels threatened and that's why he's lashing out. It's instant.
He's aggressive.
I am gonna do my thing. All three of my heads.
And also
my two tails.
Yeah.
They made it look like the tails were also a head. They show up in between the heads.
Yeah, and I like it that the three heads each kind of have a separate thing
They did
going
have.
on.
I couldn't tell you what this is stage right. I couldn't tell you what stage right head was about, but stage left head is almost dopey.
I was gonna say that was the word that I was gonna use.
Dopey?
He's a little dopey. He seems kind of like a dumb animal.
He's a little slower than the other two will move into something first, and then it kind of moves in. There's a couple times where middle head snaps at it, and it's like, pay attention.
Yeah.
It
like grabs it by the horn.
It's like, we're going to do our three-headed laser throat attack, which is a very nice animation.
Yeah.
I'd have to say. But first Middlehead has to let left head know, right head is already starting it, you get in position.
Yeah.
Also don't fight each other like too hard.
No,
It's
because
like
they are still one
it's-
being with the same goals and stuff.
But they also seem like siblings.
Yeah.
Like siblings that
Kind of rowdy siblings.
stop talking during the movie, Middlehead says to left head. There actually isn't too much of, oh no, the military is about to do the stupid thing that's going to ruin it. The military does one stupid thing and it's almost kind of justified, and
It's the oxygen destroyer, which,
the
if you don't know, is the thing that in the original Godzilla and a couple of the other movies
Oh, that's sweet.
is what kills Godzilla.
That's sweet. Okay, so I guess if you had seen all that past stuff, you know the O-bomb is going to specifically do that.
Yeah, like it's very
Rodan shows
casual
up,
Godzilla
the three of
fans.
them are,
Even I can say that if you're like a major Godzilla fan, there's a lot of references and throwbacks and stuff in here.
and hopefully they're not too in your face. Like
I didn't
don't feel like
distract. They didn't
no.
distract from our viewings.
No, not at all.
So something that has been mentioned in the more negative reviews of the film is that the people were like, even the people were like, okay, fine, here to watch giant monsters fight. I get that. There's some people who are like, it's so like gray and it's like snow and mist and rain
It wasn't
everywhere
gray,
and
but
it's difficult
it
to
was
see.
very obvious. It was orange and teal. That was very obvious. Except they did it slightly less for the fight scenes, especially the Rodan fight scene didn't have tons of that, but the human scenes were like orange, teal, orange, teal, orange, teal,
Well, I don't know because
which I'm okay with.
yeah, I'm fine with an orange and teal color scheme. What I like things to
I'm not in the business enough to have a complaint about that.
It's just that having already heard that complaint before seeing
I
the movie of
want
like
the sequel or a sequel to be as colorful as Guardians of the Galaxy 2's opening.
I'm not sure. Well, I don't know because the thing is how sort of like vibrant and whatever Godzilla designs and monster designs are
Mothra.
depends on the era. And like when Mothra shows up, she's great. I think all of the designs are really great.
I'm ready for it to get dumber in a way that allows. I'm ready for like Japanese TV have a really big guy do the arm thing to shoot a laser. I'm almost ready for that, and I would be
Are you
comfortable
ready
with
for-
it leading up to that.
Are you ready for Jet Jaguar to show up?
Jet Jaguar.
I'll
That sounds really familiar. You'll have to tell me in a separate scene.
It's basically Ultraman. It's ridiculous.
Okay.
But yeah,
I think that's literally who I was going for. Is Jet Jaguar.
watching the fight scenes, it doesn't like take me out of the scene, but
Why would
I do kind of
That's what was built up the entire
I
time.
do kind of relate to the people who have the problem of like, did we need there to be all these particle effects and like snow and rain, and why can't we just have it be a
the
fight?
kind of just imperfections in the CGI.
Yeah, like I know
that
that's
the
the
particle
reason-
effects in the final fight scene, even though I'm like, okay, of course they're using the rain to cover it, but the particle effects that they're having it like informed shots of the movie. Because when I think it was Ghidorah does an attack, the rain moves in a certain way, and the particles of the rain disperse in a certain way. Some of
I
them
didn't
go
even
up.
pick up on that.
I picked up on that because I was, I'm like, please tell me they're not doing stupid rain to hide stupid CGI.
It's like I'm sure
and-
that the designs would hold up even without those
Yeah.
effects sort of covering it. But I think a lot
And
of people
I didn't notice the effects during the Rodan start of the fight scene. There is, Rodan is now kind of surrounded by clouds for a few moments, but up until that part, I felt like it was a very clear Rodan fighting airplanes.
Not gonna lie, I love all the designs. I think this movie might actually have my favorite Godzilla design.
I don't think we get to say that as youths.
I mean, I've seen other Godzillas, so I know what they look like.
My
This
favorite
is my
one
favorite.
is the one of the toy I had as a kid. That's the red and black one. That's
You can
like
show me what
big
that
and
looks
chunky.
like.
Maybe.
But like I like this design a lot for Godzilla with sort of like the broad snout and stuff. But I think I'm honestly gonna give it to Rodan as my favorite design in the movie. I
I
really
like the times
how
where
Rodan-
Godzilla got to emote, even though it was a little cheesy. I liked it when he would mean he mean mug at the end.
No,
I like it. Yeah, he's mean mugs all of them, and then they're like, okay, we showed up to save your king, but now you're mean mugging us.
Interesting place to leave this movie, I'll admit, where it's like...
Oh yeah, in a completely melted down and destroyed Boston,
where it's like just...
Which wasn't destroyed must not have been destroyed in the 2014 movie. I'm pretty sure they were in San Francisco from what I gathered.
Yeah, I don't know, but like my understanding of the previous Godzilla sort of eras is that you have, it sort of changes depending on the era and like the main creative voice in charge, whether Godzilla's just a destructive force, whether
a force of nature type thing.
Yeah, is he a force of nature? Is he a villain? Is he a hero?
And
he
kind of is all three.
Yeah, in this movie...
But he's not like an anti-hero. He is an animal, a very smart animal that is doing natural stuff, but not mindlessly. Like he can plan. He doesn't like come up with like a sneaky thing where he hides his eggs so that you can have a weird.
And like the way that he interacts with humans, or sort of like where the humans are adjacent to him, you can read into that either humans are kind of nothing to him, and it just kind of seems like he's protecting them.
It isn't indifferent Cthulhu level, but it's...
Is he indifferent to them, or is he protecting them? I don't think the movie comes down clearly on either one.
Cool, you're not planning on shooting at me anymore. We can be cool. Let's be cool, everyone. Everyone put the guns down in this Mexican standoff.
His priority.
He's the first one. He's not the first one to put down his guns, but he's the first one to willingly accept putting down your guns when the humans decide to put down their guns.
I think
that's the Mexican standoff of it. No. That's like what informs the whole interaction between them for the first two scenes.
Yeah, and like it's I don't know. I think the movie is a little bit intentionally not coming down clearly on, is he vague? I mean, is he indifferent toward humans? Do they matter to him at all? Is he just kind of like, all right, you leave me alone, I leave you alone? Is he sort of protecting them? And you could read into it any number of ways, and I like that.
It evolves into a symbiotic relationship because they help him in the final fight scene.
Yeah, and it's a real shame that this movie is kind of underperforming to the extent that it is, and we're probably not going to get a bunch of sequels, because I'm not assuming that Godzilla vs. Kong is going to handle this, but I really want to know, like, what is the world of this sort of universe?
The level of destruction and the reclamation is so large, even though we're only showing shots of it in America. Like, Washington is completely flooded, which
seeing Washington flooded.
Boston isn't, but Washington, D.C. was flooded.
Like, I didn't put that together from the trailers, even though those shots are in the trailers. That like all of DC is just
flooded.
Yeah.
Like you don't see the pool in front of the Washington Monument. You just see water with the Washington Monument in it. It's entirely flooded. It's destroyed.
But I mean, like, I'm sort of interested to see now, like, okay, what is human civilization like when we've got Godzilla and all of his posse here, and he's kind of on our side?
This was also one of my immediate thoughts is I am ready for post-apocalyptic human Titan symbiosis type stuff going on.
Yeah.
You know, like some people worship them as gods, some of them view them as kings, some of them view them as with us, as an entity that is with us, or an entity that's a protector. And there's a lot of stuff they could go for it, but it's not like they could make it so that all technology is destroyed. They don't have to.
And
but I would love some cool, like, there's a guy, one of the Titans is born in Wyoming. I don't think they have the infrastructure or the concentration of population. I know this is theory crafting that isn't relevant to the movie and will never be relevant to the movie production, whatever, but you can have like some Fallout 1 and 2 level of tribes rising up from the ashes because they don't have population concentration, so they're less likely to have scientists who have all this base of knowledge. They end up getting thrown back to the Stone Age.
You didn't see Kong Skull Island, did you?
No.
There, in that movie, there's sort of like a tribe that, like in the original King Kong, sort of like worships Kong. And so, like, could you see stuff like that happen where like people worship Godzilla?
Yeah,
And like that
Godzilla travels too much for him to have a specific worship base, and I think his thing would be having like the tech group, the military might that will willingly follow him.
Yeah, and like I don't know. There's a lot of interesting opportunities for world building. Is the main thing that I think
there are opportunities for world building.
What I'm curious about, just thinking on it, as far as like Godzilla versus Kong.
I'm gonna end up. I don't write fan fiction. I'm gonna end up writing fan fiction for this because it's too fun an idea.
Yeah, or at least like a hypothetical like universe Bible.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, hypothetical universe. You know what?
I'm glad I.
No,
said
but
it.
genuinely, yeah, that's gonna be a little seed in my mind just planted.
But like I'm mainly thinking about like we've kind of painted both Godzilla and Kong as like friends of humanity, sort of.
Oh, Kong was painted as a friend to humanity?
Yeah, and
I was expecting someone to say Mothra as a friend to the children.
no, that's Gamera.
I know that's Gamera, but as you said, Gamera's not in this film.
But yeah, so like
And I feel like Mothra seemed chill enough and benevolent enough to go with it. Mothra's angelic.
yeah, just again, as the people who are like I can't really make out the action great. It doesn't look as good as it could.
Sometimes where they cut a little bit of.
I feel like the
action fight.
cinematography was overall really good.
It's not like they ever did like Alien vs Predator in a tight room. Alien vs Predator 2, I haven't seen the first one. We're in a tight, dark room. Even though they do go to ruins, they don't do major close-ups that only show you part of the action.
Personally, I always got a good sense of scene geography, and a lot of the shots of monsters fighting each other was like, I could make a poster out of this.
Oh, okay, like bam, pow.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
and it's like,
Chow.
could I maybe have done with less? I'll admit this, as far as like the focus on the humans goes, my big thing is that once the monster fights start, there were a couple of moments where I'm like, can we just keep the camera on the monsters?
I disagree. Okay, this is going into spoilers for the Rodan thing, but when Rodan goes down and they cut down to the people, and some people are trying to run away, they're trying to evacuate. Oh no, we're not.
And like Rodan flies over them, and
soldiers run in.
the
wind of Rodan going by lifts people out of the air like a tornado.
Yeah,
like
that stuff is great.
And-
I'm talking about
yeah.
like once we have really both times when we have Godzilla and Ghidorah fighting one-on-one, the camera won't focus on them, it'll focus on the Monarch people. Like, okay, that's fine for some of it, but I feel like we do it too often where it's like they want to keep us locked in with the human
I
POV
feel
of the
that
fight.
I didn't think they were doing that too much until the third act.
Okay. I sort of felt it around the first big fight in Antarctica.
The Antarctica. No, because I feel like the whole time when they were focusing on the human, that's right before Ghidorah gets out. The fight scene hasn't started. It's very tense.
But then once it does, and they like knock the helicopter out of the air, and they run out of the helicopter, and we're still focusing on the humans a lot, and like the monsters are fighting in the background.
What else is King Ghidorah? What else is he gonna destroy in Antarctica?
No, but I mean, like by that point we have him and Godzilla like at each other's throats already.
I would smashing it into the ice.
I would have just said keep the camera focused more on the two of them.
It's like superhero movies with destroying the city, except less obnoxious about it.
My issue isn't the destruction. I don't care about how the destruction is framed.
The whole destruction thing always makes you think about the whole destruction thing.
It's just, I don't know, we might be talking about two different things.
We might, yeah.
Where I just want the camera to linger more on the monsters as the subject of the scene. It's usually not that. It's usually the humans are the subject of the scene, and we see like the monsters fighting around them. I don't need that to be the big thing. Like
I don't feel like any point they were background. I feel they were always a part of this.
They were always a part of it, but they weren't always the focus.
It's not like they ever cut to them and be like, oh, I don't know, I've lost energy. Oh no, I'm low energy, Nick.
I don't know.
It's hot.
It is very. And I feel like we're kind of talking in circles at this point.
We are.
Final general thoughts.
General thoughts, go see it.
Yeah, I do recommend that you go see it if you're a Godzilla fan. If you're a Godzilla fan, if the trailers appeal to you, I think it's a good likelihood you'll enjoy this movie. I don't know, people have probably already made up their minds. A lot of people don't bother with like second weekend and stuff, but do see it. It's not something that I'm gonna like go out of my way to see a second time. I'm glad that I watched it the once. You are definitely gonna see it more than once.
Yeah, and which is something I've never done in a movie theater.
Like you really
not to rewatch movies because I remember what happens in them.
You really had an experience with this one that I didn't quite have.
Yeah, no, I hadn't. It was an experience.
But we're both generally positive on it. So I think that's it. And yeah, this was an interesting experiment. If you have seen the movie already, let us know what you thought about it in the comments. Did listening to this make you want to see it more or less? Anything, whatever. And that's
anything,
it.
whatever. You know, like, comment, and subscribe for anything, whatever.
Like, comment, and subscribe for anything,
like, comment, subscribe. I love you 2000 makes sense because it's like I love you too. I love you 2000 instead of I love you too. And then you can upgrade that to I love you 3000. That makes sense. Are you telling me that's not what happens in the movie?
We're here to talk about it.
But yes or no, is that what happens in that movie? I'm not going to watch it. Tell me now, you're wasting time. Give me an answer, you're wasting time.
I don't even know what you said.